The Bhagavad Gita Ch.2, The Philosophy of Logic, Sankhya. Sanjaya said, Then Krishna said to the anxious, crying and grieving Arjuna, who was overwhelmed with pity, From where did this unreasonableness come unto you at this crucial time? Uneducated people do this, and it does not lead to higher planets, but to disgrace, Arjuna. Do not be weak, Partha. This does not befit you. Give up this silly emotional weakness of heart. Arise, O conqueror. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, killer of the Madhu demon, how can I shoot arrows against my elders like Bhishma and Drona? I should worship them. We should not kill our gurus and elders. Instead, it would be better to satisfy our needs in this world by begging, because the gains we are desiring would be stained with the blood of killing our gurus. I do not know what is better, to conquer our cousins or being conquered by them, but clearly we do not want to continue living after having killed all the sons of Dhritarashtra. My thinking is full of weakness, and I am asking you for your advice, as I am misled in my mind about what I should do, what my duty, my dharma is. Please tell me decisively what would be the best for me. I am your devotee and surrender unto you. I see no way to get rid of the anxiety which is drying up my senses, not even if I would win supremacy over the whole earth and the heavens. After Arjuna, also known as Bhutagesha, the conqueror of ignorance, the chastiser of enemies, has told this to Krishna, known as Hrishikesha, the master of the senses, Arjuna said, I shall not fight, and ended his speech. O Bharata, Dhritarashtra is also a descendant of King Bharata. Between the two armies, Hrishikesha said, almost smilingly to the grieving Arjuna, Shri Bhagavan said, You talk smartly, but you sorrow for what is not to be sorrowed for. The learned mourn neither for those who have left, nor those who have not left yet. At no moment in time I, you, all these kings, or any of us were not present or will not remain in future. As the soul goes from childhood to youth, adulthood and old age, similarly does it transfer into different bodies after death. The learned are never bewildered by this. The sensual feelings of the objects come and go, give suffering and joy like winter and summer, and are never permanent. Tolerate them. Whoever is never lingering mentally on pain and remains steady and equal in suffering and joy is the best and becomes eligible for liberation. The impermanent is never stable, and the eternal is never unstable. This is what those who see have observed and understood. Know that nobody can destroy nor create what pervades the body. It is indestructible. It is said that these bodies will cease, but the inconceivable soul is indestructible. That is why you should fight Bharata, descendant of King Bharata. Who knows this understands that who thinks this is a slayer and this is the slain does not understand. Neither does one kill nor gets killed. The soul is never born nor dies. Having one existed, it will never cease to exist. It is age-old, unborn, eternal, immortal, and is never destroyed even when the body is destroyed. How can one who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and not causing change, kill anyone or cause to be killed? Comment. The soul is only a witness. It can only inspire the mind with guidance and satisfy the mind with happiness from within when the mind becomes equal and tolerant to good and bad external situations. This leads to mental peace and wisdom from within and liberation. End of the comment. Krishna continues. As people give up old dresses and accept others, so do beings give up old bodies and enter new ones. The soul cannot be cut by weapons nor burnt by fire, moistened by water or dried by wind. It does not break, burn, take up or release water. It lasts forever, pervades everything, does not change or move, and is primordial. The soul is said to be unmanifest, inconceivable, and unchanging. Knowing this about the soul, it is not befitting to grieve. If, however, you believe that the soul is repeatedly born or even dies, still it is not befitting to grieve. For who is born, death is certain. For one who is dead, birth is certain. Therefore it is not befitting to sorrow in this unavoidable situation. All beings are invisible before birth, manifest in the middle, and disappear when dying. Therefore, why do you grieve? Some see, describe, or hear about the soul as being amazing, while others do not understand the soul even after hearing about it. The owner of the body is eternal, cannot be destroyed, and is in everyone. Therefore you should not grieve for any being. Knowing your personal job, dharma, as a royal Kshatriya, you should not hesitate to fight. From a religious point of view, there is no better engagement for you. The warriors, Kshatriyas, to whom such a war has arrived without looking for it, are delighted as it opens the doors wide to the heavenly planets, O Partha, son of Prithha. However, if you did not act in this righteous war, you would be giving up your personal duty, swadharma, and reputation, and receive instead sin, for neglecting your job and religion. People would speak about your infamy forever, and for an honored man ill fame is worse than death. The great heroes would think you fled the battlefield out of fear. Your great reputation would be lost, and you would be of less value to them. Your enemies would say unkind lies about you and dishonor your ability. What is more painful? If killed, you go to the worldly heaven, Swarg. If you win, you will enjoy the earth. Therefore arise, Kaunteya, and fight without doubts. Remain equal in happiness and suffering, in gain and loss, in victory and death. Fight just for the sake of fighting, and you will never acquire sin. Until now, I have explained to you the logical, analytical Samkhya philosophy. Hear now about the God-united intelligence, Buddhi Yoga. Uniting your intelligence with God will release you from your work's bondage caused by good and bad reactions. Following this, you will never lose any effort nor get bad reactions, and even a small effort on this righteous path, dharmasya, saves you from great danger. The intellect of those on this path is determined and one-pointed. The intellect of those who are not on this path is endlessly branched with many opinions and undetermined. Those with a limited understanding speak only about the flowery, enticing words of the Veda scriptures and advertise only their fruit-focused knowledge. Lusting with their souls for heavenly pleasures, high birth, and fruitive results, they perform various pompous rituals to satisfy their aims of achieving opulence. With a bewildered mind, desiring and attached to luxury and physical comfort, they never develop the strong wisdom, buddhi, necessary for a stable mind, samadhau. The Vedas talk only about improving the senses' enjoyment of the three types of mental motivation, gunas. Arjuna, be beyond the three gunas, beyond likes and dislikes, fixed in the eternal truth, and not looking for the gain yoga gives, but fixed in the self, Atma. Comment. This is an excellent summary. The three gunas are the three mental motivations. They are what forces every being to act according to its nature or character, to be nice and supportive, which is sattva or virtue, being active for selfish desires, and gain, which is passion or raja, and finally destructive, careless and lazy, which is tama or ignorance. See also the glossary and more later. Number 2. The Vedas, the complete religious teaching, speak mainly about how to improve and enjoy our temporary life. 3. Krishna's recommendation is to be above the 3 gunas, which is achieved through A. Being equal to and not motivated by the likes and dislikes of our senses and our desires. B. But instead being guided by our soul's wisdom. Look inwards to the soul instead of outwards to the desire-producing senses. C. This means not looking for the selfish gain of yoga. 4. Arjuna's misunderstanding later is that Krishna is not asking to give up, Sanskrit tyagi, anything, and stopping to fight or work. Krishna advises us not to have our minds be controlled and our decisions led by external short-term joy, hatred, desires, and the material nature and its gunas motivating the senses. Instead, we should be led by wisdom, buddhi, which comes from the soul, atma, and the Brahman, God. Krishna continues. The purpose of a small well is included in a great lake. The conclusion of the Vedas is realized by one who has realized the Brahman, the subtle form of God, which is in everything, and he is therefore in complete knowledge. You only have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but never do you have the right to the fruits of your work. Never think of yourself as the cause of the fruits. Never be attached to inaction. Fixed in this yoga connection of wisdom and only doing your prescribed dharma, work and give up your attachment to the fruits and stay equal in success and failure. Being mentally balanced means you are connected in yoga. Discard self-serving activities. Connect to this wisdom, buddhi yoga, and let yourself be led by this wisdom. Only misers are after the fruits of their work. With this wisdom received through the connection to God, you will get rid of all reactions to good and bad deeds in this life. Therefore, push yourself to work only to strengthen this yoga connection. Yoga is the art of beautiful activities to connect to God through your disposition, your dharma. The wise work guided by God's wisdom and do not enjoy the fruits of their work. This liberates them from the bondage of birth and death, and they attain a stage beyond suffering. When you have crossed the swamp of delusion through your wisdom, buddhi, you will become indifferent to everything which has been heard or will be heard. When you are no more attached by the enjoyable blessings of the Vedas, remain firm in mental sameness to likes and dislikes, and have a steady, wise understanding, buddhi, you have attained the yoga connection. Arjuna asked, persons situated in the highest realized wisdom, sthita prajnasa, in a state of mental equanimity, samadhi stadya, or situated in enlightenment, sthitadi. What do they talk about and how do they talk, sit and walk? Krishna said, a person is called situated in the highest realized wisdom, sthita prajna, when he has abandoned all mind-born desires and is satisfied by dwelling with his soul only on the supersoul. Who is mentally undisturbed in suffering, does not crave pleasure, is free from attachment, fear and anger, is called a sage fixed in realization, sthitadir muni. Who is always unattached to receiving good or bad, and neither gets drawn in nor despises, is in the highest realized wisdom, prajna. When one fully draws back his senses from the sense objects, similar to a tortoise pulling its limbs in, he is fixed in the highest realized wisdom, prajna. An embodied being may practice self-restraint by restraining from experiencing through the senses. However, the taste, rasa, for the objects will end only after seeing the Supreme. Even when practicing self-restraint with full knowledge and discrimination, the wild senses will still forcefully carry the mind away. One is fixed in the highest realized wisdom, prajna, when he controls all his senses and remains engaged in a relationship with me. Thinking about sense objects, a person develops attachment, which causes desire followed by anger. Anger leads to self-illusion, then confusion of knowledge, loss of intelligence, and downfall. But who is free from attachment and aversion while engaging his senses with the sense objects will attain, by God's blessing, the state in which the super soul inspires him and his soul leads him. Comment. In order to attain God's blessing, which is the super soul inspiring and leading us through wisdom, buddhi, we have to first become mentally calm and peaceful through seeing joy, pain, and our sense-driven desires as equally unimportant. Tolerate them and wait for the higher inspiration to kick in. Instead of following the nose, we follow the brain and remain cool about everything around us, knowing it to be nature, prakriti. And during this time, we use work to strengthen the connection with God. Krishna continues. With God's blessing, all sorrow stops. With this calm mind, his God-connected, intelligent thinking and wisdom, buddhi, becomes strong soon. When the rational, intelligent thinking, buddhi, is not connected with God, there will be no God-connected state of thinking. For those who are not in a state of thinking about God, there will be no peace, shanti. For those without peace, where is happiness? The mind gets fixed on whichever senses are roaming uncontrolled. The roaming senses carry the conclusions, prajnam, away like the wind carries a boat away. Therefore, O Mahabaho, strong-armed, whose senses are neither attached nor despising the sense objects, he stays unshakably in the highest realized wisdom, prajna. What is night for all beings, then the mentally equalized is awake. What is day for beings sees the Muni as night. As the ocean is always filled and steady, despite rivers constantly entering it from all sides, so attains peace who lets all desires enter, but not who is chasing desires. Tolerating all desires, living without chasing desires, not saying, this is mine, without personal identification, that person attains perfect peace. Having attained the state of realization that everything is God, Brahmi Sthiti, the person will never get bewildered, and if in this state at the end of his life, he gets the Brahman liberation, Brahma Nirvana, the non-place of God.